Well, welcome everyone to today's Leo yoga class. We are going to be focusing on everything that Leo represents. Now, what does that even mean? So I like to use astrology as a way to kind of remind me to take care of different body parts. And each zodiac sign actually connects and rules one part of your body, which means that technically you have all the zodiac signs within you. So even if you weren't born under the sun sign of Leo, you have a heart, right? And you have a spine. And Leo rules the heart, the upper back, and the spine. Think of it as Leo is a lion, right? So the heart of the lion, that's what can help you remember the body part that coordinates with Leo. So real quick, for those of you who are like, what is this whole zodiac body stuff? I don't know what my zodiac sign means. Let me do a little game of head, shoulders, knees, and toes. If you want to stand up and play along, you can. Just to point out which sign rules which thing, okay? If you stand up, we'll start at the head. And Aries is the first sign. Aries rules the head. So you can think of Aries is a ram, so the head of the ram. And then the neck of the bull, Taurus. Anybody born in May, perhaps, or end of April? So the neck of the bull, Taurus. And then the hands of the twins, Gemini. Gemini rules the arms and the shoulders and the hands. The chest of the crab, Cancer. Any of you summer babies. And then Leo, the lion, the heart of the lion, or the back side of the chest, right? And then we have the belly of the Virgin, Virgo, September babies, right? And then the back of the scales, Libra. Libra is the balance or the scales. And then sexy Scorpio. So the sex organs and the sort of genitals and reproductive system are ruled by Scorpio. Then we continue down there, the thighs, ruled by Sagittarius, the centaur. So the thighs of the centaur, you can even imagine the horse with its very strong thighs. And then the knees of the goat, Capricorns. Anybody else Capricorn in the room? Yeah. And then the lower ankles and leg are ruled by Aquarius, the water bearer. He's usually depicted as kneeling, right? So you can think of that kneeling water bearer with the ankles. And then Pisces rules the feet of the fish. I know it sounds a little bit funny, feet, fish don't have feet, which is probably why they feel a little bit out of sorts most days, but we'll get to that when we do Pisces yoga. All right, so go ahead and have a seat. We'll start with a centering and a little breath. You don't have to remember any of that for right now. I just wanted to give due note to all of the sun signs that we have in the room today. So take a breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And if you feel like rolling the shoulders a bit, move around. This is that starting to connect with the upper back area a little. And then sit as tall as feels possible without straining your low back. So can you feel your chest proud and lifted, hands soft at your sides or on your lap? And if it's comfortable, close the eyes. Notice what it feels like to be you right now. And notice what it feels like to breathe in this moment. You don't need to do anything fancy with your breath. Simply breathe in and out, just as much air as you need. And after a few rounds of this natural breath, perhaps extend your exhale just a little bit. So you're not necessarily going to breathe out for longer. You're just going to breathe out normally and then let your exhale kind of disappear into space for another moment before you take your next breath in. So it's almost like you're kind of letting it go before you bring it back in. And you know you're doing this right when your next inhale feels as close to natural as possible. So you're not gasping for breath, you're not rushing in for air. Try that a few more times at your own pace. And then continue to breathe naturally. Let go of any control you have over your breath pattern. And then make your way onto your hands and knees. And we'll warm up the body a little bit before we really get moving. Today, because Leo rules the spine, we're really going to be focusing on the spine. So starting with cat-cow, if for any reason being on hands and knees doesn't feel good, come on and sit and you can do your cat-cow spine from here. Feel free to pad your knees with a little blanket if you have it nearby. And start by simply moving around on hands and knees. So notice the different ways that you can move your spine. Maybe it just feels like your hips are making circles. Maybe you feel the wrists warming up. Maybe you let your head kind of go in different directions. And then steady yourself in a tabletop with hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And that's always an ish, right? So it's okay if your hands are a little forward or your knees are in a slightly different position. And start to round your spine. Curl your chin close to your chest and push the floor away. See if you can feel the back of your heart. That's the area Leo rules, trying to reach skyward. Maybe you feel like your shoulder blades are kind of splitting apart. And then release either back to tabletop or lower the belly slightly and transition to an arched back. So look forward, feel the belly low, and maybe your shoulders and your tailbone feel like they're kind of pointing upward. And then go back and forth between these two places, rounding your spine into a cat back, and then arching slightly for cow. And make this as pleasurable of a movement as possible. You can make it slow, you can make it smooth. And then the next time you're arching your back, the belly is low and you're looking forward, kick your left leg back behind you, kind of like you have a cat tail now. And then as you round your back, bring your knee in close to your chest. Curl it up. Reach it back, lower the belly, and then curl it in round the back. And you can do this as quickly as you like if it feels good. Just make sure there's no furniture or walls behind you before you get too crazy about it. And then pause with your leg extended out back. Bend your knee. One of my teachers calls this tiger, and I know we're talking about lions, but tigers are closely related, right? So start to lift and lower the foot. You might start feeling this in your buttocks and hips. And the same teacher that calls this tiger pose likes to chant, "Yes, I love my butt," while he does this move. Yes, I love my butt. All right, straighten the leg out, and then let's stretch the buttock and the hip by taking the foot over to the right. Look past your right shoulder and make a C curve with your spine. So now your head and your tail are on one side and your hips are pressing over to the other. All right, unwind and bring your knee back underneath you. Let's try the same thing to the other side. So cat tail with the other side. As you lift the leg, lower the belly slightly, and then pull the knee under and round into your cat back. Go back and forth a few times. You choose the pace, you choose the size of the movement. And just notice how even your head is part of this spinal movement here. All right, and then pause with the leg extended. Let's do our tiger butt move. Bend your lifted leg and lift and lower the foot a few times. All right, now for the side body stretch, make that C curve with the foot over to the left. Look past the left shoulder. This is one of my favorites. And then replace your knees. Maybe take them a little wider and see if the hips like going back. If the knees don't love that, you can stay up taller and come into child's pose or something that feels more restful. Coming off of your hands, maybe to the forearms, or even letting your head rest on your hands. Take a breath. Then come on back to your hands and knees for a tabletop twist or thread the needle. Take your right hand to the sky and follow it with the gaze. And then twist, bringing the hand through and along the floor to the other side of the room. Let your shoulder and cheek rest on the ground if possible. Otherwise, just go to where it feels safe for you and then stay there. The idea here is to feel the twist a little bit more into the thoracic, that upper back area, the back of the heart. And spend a few breaths here. When you're ready, press into your left hand and unwind. Go ahead and reach the right hand back up way high to the sky. And then rest the hand down. Same thing to the other side. Reach the left hand to the sky. Follow it with the gaze. And then sweep underneath to twist from the knees or thread the needle pose. Breathe in and out through the nose as best you can. And then press into your right hand, sweep that arm all the way to the sky, and then come on back down. Now return to your cat-cow for a moment. And for any of you who want a little extra heat, walk your hands in closer to your knees, curl your toes under, and hover your knees an inch or so off the ground. You can either hold that position or go, just kidding, Emily, that's not for me. That's okay. Otherwise, hold it and continue arching and rounding your back in your cat and cow shape. You might feel a different kind of motion, maybe a different range of motion, maybe more heat in the arms and the belly. I'm feeling it in my thighs too. This is lion's pose with the cat-cow movement. Nice. Take a break. Send the hips back towards the heels or wherever they're comfortable. And then rock forwards, come through tabletop and shift the hips slightly forward. For some of you, it'll be just a baby move. For others of you, you might come into more of an upward dog style position. And then push into your hands, use your belly muscles, and rock your hips back as far as they feel comfortable. And continue this rocking forward and back a few times. And explore. How does your spine move? How does it feel to move the spine in this bigger wave? All right. The next time you're sitting back towards child's pose, pause for a moment. And you're going to make your way down onto your belly. If you still have a light layer of blanket, it's fine and maybe even really comfortable to have it underneath your pelvic area. But if it's kind of right at the belly, it might not feel good. So you can decide. I like to have sort of mid-thigh to mid-belly if I'm using a blanket there. Prop yourself up onto your elbows for Sphinx Pose. I'm going to turn this way. And the idea here is an arched back, but it might feel different than the cow position that we were in before. There are a couple different ways you can do this. You can kind of just hang out. You could even sink into the shoulders. We call this Yin Sphinx because it's passive or hanging out in it. Or if instead you want to press up out of your shoulders and maybe even use your hands and pull your hands towards your belly. Now your hands are not actually going to move towards your belly, but you're imagining it. And therefore maybe shining your heart's light forward slightly. Check in with your low back. And if it doesn't feel great, lower your chest down a little bit. Walk your elbows forward. Change the shape of the arch. Breathe as best you can in and out through the nose. And then lower your chest down to the floor for a moment. Maybe your hands make a pillow for your forehead. And I like to wiggle my bum after doing a back bend like that, just to clear out any echo of tension. All right, take your hands under the shoulders, press yourself up, maybe round into your cat back as a counter stretch from all of that. And then step your right foot forward to the front of your mat. If you still have your blanket there for your knee, that's great. You might decide you want some blocks underneath your hands if you have them handy. If not, don't worry. And then curl your back toes under, your left toes under, and lift into a runner's lunge. So I'm asking you to do a little work now. You're going to try to keep the legs in this shape, more or less, and start to round and arch your back, much like you did in cat-cow. So your hips will stay low. You're not straightening or bending your legs. And keeping them in the lunge. And then moving the spine in whatever way feels possible. And in whatever way feels most fluid. So curl your chin to your chest and lower the belly, look forward. All right, let's switch sides. There's a number of ways that you can switch legs. One would be to lower your back knee, step the front foot forward, do a little wiggle, and then switch sides. If you're feeling a little more frisky, you want some more heat, maybe step back to plank, just because you can. Bonus points if you do a little push up for courage, and then switch feet. Low lunge, other side. Set yourself up first in the low lunge. Thanks for those who played the push-up game. And then curl your right toes under, runner's lunge, other side. Keep the legs strong and where you have them more or less, and start to round and arch your back. So that same cat-cow movement we've been working with. And go slow, especially if you feel yourself getting dizzy. You can look at the same spot on the floor and still undulate your spine. Some of you might have feelings all the way down that back leg into the hip. Nice. Last one. And then we're going to end up in downward facing dog. There are a number of different ways you could do that. Lower your back leg, come on back, do a little wiggle, and then lift your hips. Don't do it as quickly as I just said. But for those of you who are up for the push-up challenge, one more time, step back to plank, bend your elbows, push up. Option to have your knees down. And then lift your hips up and back for downward facing dog. So here your hands press firm into the floor. Your hips are reaching up and back as if you're trying to touch where the wall and ceiling meet behind you. Your knees can be bent and your heels are reaching towards the floor. Mine only touch in my dreams, so don't even worry about it. And then start to step slowly towards your hands, coming into a standing forward bend. And if the head doesn't want to hang quite so low, make it a half forward fold. Pause here for a moment, maybe grab opposite elbows. You can sway a bit side to side. And then bend your knees, bring the hands either to your hips or to your thighs to help yourself come all the way up strong to stand. When you get here, maybe sweep the arms high and let them land at your heart. Thumb tips touch the sternum. And then imagine that your thumbs can penetrate through your heart to the back side of your heart and place between the shoulder blades, the heart of the lion. All right, when you're ready, step the feet wide. I'm gonna move my blanket here, but you can keep yours there if you like. And wrap the arms around for a standing twist. Are we feeling warm? Okay, so Leos, for those of you born under the sun sign of Leo, tend to like the stage. They're also kind of sleepy. They like to sleep in, very cat-like. And of course, all of this is a generalization, but it comes from somewhere. It comes from a truth. Your sun sign is only part of the story. Turn this into a bit of a hip circle. Go around and around. There are lots of different planets in the sky, and they were all in a specific place when you were born. So if you are interested in more astrology, you can message me later. I can point you to some resources and books. But what you need to know for today is that the Leo is ruled by the sun. And I realize the sun is not a planet, but of the celestial beings in the sky, let's say. So that's the inspiration for our sun salutations. We're going to start with 3 half sun salutations just to get some blood flowing and the body moving. And then we'll do a variation of 3 more sun salutations. Now, there are a million different sun salutations in the world. I'm just doing these 2 variations with you today. Perhaps you've done them before. So step near the front of your mat and reach your hands to the sky. Open up. And then take them down towards your heart. Let the thumb tips touch as you hinge forward with a little bend in your knees and come into a standing forward bend. Go only as far as feels good. And if you have blocks waiting for your hands, that can be nice. Now come up halfway. So lift your head away from the floor. Maybe hold on to your knees or thighs. And then continue back into your forward fold. Bend your knees and come all the way up to stand up. Take your time, press the feet into the floor, sweep the arms out and up, and bring the hands together at the heart. There you go, half sun salutation. Let's do another one. Sweep the arms down and up, reach high. And then take your hands through heart center on the way down. I like to make that connection with the heart. And then come up halfway, lift. Forward fold. Push the feet strong into the floor. Rise up to stand. Arms come out and up. Hands together at the heart. Now, if your blood pressure is going woo from doing this up-down motion, maybe pause for a moment. Otherwise, we'll do one more together. Reach the arms up. Connect with the heart as you fold down. Come up halfway, lift. And then return to your forward fold. Nice and sweet. Push the feet down, rise up, sweep the arms to the sky. And then hands together at the heart. Pause here, connect with your heart center, this place of deep inner wisdom. Notice your breath and your heartbeat, maybe a little faster now. Your heartbeat, not the movements. And now we'll do 3 sun salutations. So sweep the arms up. This first part is the same. Come all the way down to forward fold. Connect with your heart on the way down. Come up halfway, lift. And then forward fold. Now this is where it changes. Plant your hands and step back to downward facing dog. If that feels like too much work for right now, maybe stay in the forward fold and stick with the half sun salutations. Otherwise, you can also bring your knees down. From here, shift your shoulders towards your wrists. Plank. Lower the knees, especially this first time around, so that you can bend your elbows and bring your heart and your chest towards the floor, belly on the ground. Now here you have a couple choices. You could come up into a Sphinx, like we did earlier, or take Cobra Pose. Hands slide back a little bit towards the outer ribs. Feet are strong and straight against the floor. And then lift your head and chest using the muscles of the back to bring your face and head away from the floor. Fill the whole torso with breath. So not just the belly, but the back and the ribs. And then lower back down. Push into your hands. Lift up to hands and knees. And this is where you have another nice choice. Either slide back towards child's pose or lift your hips, downward facing dog. Take a breath or two here. Feel the strength of your arms. And then step towards your hands, standing forward bend. Come up halfway, lift. Forward fold. And then push into the feet. Come all the way up to stand. Nice and sweet. Hands together at the heart. Awesome job. We're going to do 2 more like that. Take them at your own pace. Sweep the arms down and reach high. Connect with your heart as you forward fold. Come up halfway, lift. Hands down, feet step back, downward facing dog. Shift shoulders forward, plank, or modify the plank with the knees down, and then bend your elbows, belly on the ground. Sphinx, or slide the hands back, Cobra Pose. And then press into your hands and sink the hips back to child or lift the hips high, downward facing dog. Take a moment here.
And then step, or if you're feeling frisky, maybe hop towards your hands, forward fold. Come up halfway lift. Fold once more. And then push into your feet, rise up to stand. Hands together at the heart. One more together, reach down and up. Connect with the heart as you forward bend. Halfway lift. Hands down. This time, if you'd like, maybe hop back to plank. That one's a little trickier. Belly to the ground. Sphinx, Cobra, or maybe push into the hands a little more this time. Upward dog. That's where your arms get closer to straight. And then lower your chest back to the floor. Press your way up or reverse push up to child's pose or downward dog. Take a moment here. And then take a step or two, or maybe hop towards your hands like a frog. Forward fold. Come up halfway. And then fold again. Rise up strong. Stand. And let the hands rest. Mountain pose. Nice. Get your bearings here. Shake out the arms, shake out the legs. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit more sunny, a little bit warmer. We're going to shift gears now. So shift the weight over to your right foot and take a big step back with your left for a warrior one style lunge. I'm going to face you this way. And then take your hands out. So actually start with the hands at your chest and imagine your arms are, if you think about where they start, maybe you think they start at the shoulders, but where the shoulders start? At the back of the heart. So imagine your arms are an extension out from that spot at the back of the heart and reach the hands out to the sides. Now flip the palms up towards the sky, and as you do, take a little tiny back bend in your upper back. This is where you might have to get a little wider stance to feel stable, and arch your back slightly. Open up the chest. Now keep the legs strong like you have them and slouch into your shoulders. So palms flip down, your upper back rounds, and they flip back around to face the sky. Now reverse that, go back the other way. Arching slightly back, palms flip up, and then slouch into yourself. Nice. Do that one or two more times. Now, this is one of those times where looking maybe at a specific spot on the wall can be helpful. I'm trying to free up some space in the upper spine, the upper back. Nice. And then stand strong through the legs. Take the arms straight up by the ears if possible. Warrior one. And then lean forward towards your front foot. Spring off the back one, bring the feet together, and rest the arms down by your side. Let's do the same thing to the other side. So shift the weight over to your other foot, take a big step back, and then like your arms are extending out from the back of your chest, the back of your heart, reach them to the sides. Find your stability through the legs, and then let's do a few rounds of that upper back curling movement. As best you can, breathe in and out through the nose. And this doesn't have to be a big move. If it's a lot for the shoulders, bend the elbows and take the hands to the shoulders. Nice. Now stand strong through the legs. Take the arms up by the ears. Plug into the sunshine up there, even though it's gone to bed for tonight. And then spring forward off of your back foot. Connect with your heart and forward fold. Plant your hands again and step back, downward facing dog. This is a stretch for your whole backside body, but can you feel how the arms plug in to the ground and hold you up strong. Go ahead and lower your knees to the ground and take a moment, either here or closer to child's pose. Now shift forward onto your forearms and knees. So instead of hands and knees, we're a little lower to the ground. And see if you can wrap your hands around your opposite elbow. This is just a way to help you make sure that your elbows aren't super wide on the ground. It's just an estimate. And then once you've done that, take your hands forward. It might feel like you're making a triangle with your elbows on the ground and your hands on the floor. You can have your hands palms facing down, or you can interlace the fingers. I like to do that and free my pinky so I feel strong against the floor. Our next movement is Dolphin, and I promise this is one of the last ones where we're on hands and knees and upside down. From here, it's just like downward dog, except your elbows are connected to the floor instead of your hands. So with the elbows under the shoulders, the hands together or interlaced, curl your toes under and lift your hips. And when you get up here, if it feels kind of wonky in one or both shoulders, come down and change the distance between your shoulders, maybe to a little bit closer together. And if for any reason it just doesn't feel right and you'd rather not, that's okay. My hope is that this starts to feel like you're working that space right between the shoulder blades a little bit more. So press the forearms into the ground. Imagine your hips still reaching for that spot where the wall and the ceiling meet. It gets a little trickier because we've shortened our arms. Feel free to bend your knees as much as you like. Take another moment here. You got this. And then slowly lower the knees. Ooh, slide the hips back to child's pose. I like to slide my hands down by my feet and curl under or into myself after that. Nice job. Take a few more moments here. Can you feel your breath in the back body? And then reach the arms forward and help yourself down onto your belly. Oh, I know it takes a little after that. Take a moment, maybe wiggle around to adjust to the belly and the chest on the ground. And then prop yourself back up onto your forearms. Like Sphinx Pose. Do a little bit of a variation here to involve the legs called bow or half bow pose. So start by taking your right elbow more parallel to the edge of your mat so that you can bend your left knee. And now your left arm is free while you're supporting yourself, and see if maybe it's possible to reach for the foot. If it feels a little complex, you might actually feel better with the chest even closer to the ground and then reach back. And if the foot's not within reach, just find a comfortable spot and lift the foot anyway so that you're opening up the front side of your left thigh. I'm going to stay low to the ground and reach back with my left hand. Nice. And then release the foot from the hand, let it come back down to the floor, and try the same thing to the other side. Now remember, things aren't always the same on the other side. So try bringing your left forearm parallel to the front edge of your mat. That frees up your right hand to maybe reach back for the right foot. Again, if that arch is too much,
or it just doesn't feel comfortable, maybe come closer to the ground with your chest or skip reaching for the foot. Nice. Take another moment or two here. Just gonna switch the camera angle. Yeah. And when you're ready, release the foot, return so that you're in neutral on the floor, belly down. This is the last bit of work I'm asking of you tonight, I promise. Bring your arms down alongside the body, forehead, or in my case, nose on the floor. Lift and lengthen through each leg so you get an extra inch through your middle. And then press the low belly down against the floor. You'll feel your buttocks squeeze a little bit. And when you're ready, start to lift the feet and the head, the chest and the thighs away from the ground, coming into an upward locust pose or upward boat pose. You can reach your arms back as if they're trying to get to the feet, and then straighten the knees as strong and straight as you can. Super strong legs. Take a breath in here, and then lower yourself down. Take a moment, take a break. We're going to do that again, and I'll invite you to try a little variation on a theme with me. So when you're ready, start with a low belly pressing down, little squeeze of the buttocks, straighten the knees, and lift the feet, head, chest, and thighs off the ground. Now I want you to imagine that there's mud all around you and you're swimming through the mud. So you're going to create a little bit of resistance and start to pull your left heel very slowly, like someone's resisting against it, towards your butt. As soon as you feel your knee drop towards the floor, you're going to stop. So some people will be much further close to their butt, some people won't. It just all depends on your spine. And then through that same resisting mud, straighten your leg. You should be feeling some feelings. If you need to take a break in between, that's fine. Otherwise, we'll try the other side. Moving through mud, pull your right heel super slow towards your right butt cheek. And then at the same speed, reverse that to straighten your leg. Nice. If you're still with me, feel free to take a break. But if you're still with me, you're going to try both heels, moving through mud at the same time. This is an active bow pose. And then moving through mud, straighten your legs, super straight knees, lower down. Whew, that deserves a butt wiggle. Nice job. Take a moment. Now, if anybody's feeling like they want to try classic bow pose, we just did the active version, which I find so much more helpful in strengthening the body, especially the back. But you might be like, you know what, I'm tired, Emily. So if you're in the tired category, I get it. We're almost there, but come up into a cat or a child's pose. Take a moment to counter stretch after all of that. You can still do that and then join me again at the belly for what I promise is the last thing. You're going to bend both knees. And if possible, reach back for the feet. And you might get here and be like, in your nervousness might be like, oh God, I don't know what's coming. Then don't go any further. Maybe you stay right here. If you're still with me and you want to explore, you're going to push the feet into the hands as if you're trying to straighten your knees. And then your chest might lift a little bit off the ground. It can be surprisingly invigorating, even though it's hard. So take one more breath. And then bend your knees close to your heels, close to your butt to lower yourself down and release the feet from your hands. Whoo, butt wiggle time. Now press into your hands under your shoulders, come up into that cat stretch. That, my dear friends, is what we call a heart opening posture. Yes. Bow pose is amazing. Come into child's pose, take a moment. As I mentioned, it can be really invigorating. Many back bends are. So it can have this odd effect of like, you feel tired, but you actually feel awake. And so as you press your way up to sit, just take note of what you're feeling. Extend your legs out in front. We've arrived at the best part, the end. Reach your arms up to the sky and take a seated forward bend over the legs. Just let your whole upper body flop over. And as you breathe, can you feel the breath in your back body? Take 1 or 2 more moments here. And then walk your hands back up towards the belly. Lean back onto them with bent knees, feet flat, and swish the knees from side to side. The next time your knees fall over to the left, keep walking your hands around in that direction so that you're facing the back. I realize you might be facing away from me, but you're okay still. Palms pressing into the floor, your legs are kind of staggered. And you might feel the twist in the trunk here. If it feels good to come down to one or maybe both elbows, you can try that. And if it's too much of a stretch for your right side, bring your knees in a little closer together. When you're ready, walk the hands back up. Swing your knees to the other side. Same thing over to the right. Walk your hands all the way around. You might have to adjust a little bit. Start with the palms flat. Feel the length on both sides of your waist. And then maybe, again, it could be different on this side. See if it's possible to come down a little bit lower to the ground. And if that doesn't feel right, then back off. All right, when you're ready, walk your way back up and around so that you can unwind your legs. And bring the soles of the feet together, the knees wide for butterfly pose. You can stay here, you can lean back on the hands. Feel the stretch through the front body, although we did a lot of that tonight. So if you'd like some more through the inner legs, maybe lean forward towards the feet. And then press your way up, escort your legs together. And find your blanket if you have one nearby. If you have a bolster, you can simply take your bolster to the back where you're going to lie down. And I'll show the bolster version first. Sit your bum on the floor, but then take your back over the bolster with the arms out a little bit to the side. You can decide where. Now, everybody likes it to hit a different part of your back. So you might find that you want to scoot down a bit more or a bit less. Now, if you don't have a bolster, you can do a sort of bolster-like thing with your blanket. So if you take your blanket to a medium-sized rectangle and then roll a tight roll, you'll create a bit of a cylinder that's similar, maybe, but a little squishier depending on the firmness of your blanket. And we kind of like that squishiness, or sometimes we do. And then decide how to roll down and get cozy here. Ideally, you have your head resting on that back edge of the blanket or bolster. But if your back's really long, or you just like to have it hit a certain way, maybe bring another pillow back there just so you don't feel like you're falling backwards. And this, my friends, is my favorite pose. It'll feel different for your spine if you have your legs out long versus, say, feet together, knees wide in a butterfly shape. It feels very different. So you can play around with that and decide what feels most relaxing. We'll be here for a few moments, and then I'll guide you to come out if you so choose, so that you can rest with your back on the floor for the last few moments. So take a breath in through your nose and out through the mouth. And imagine your heart inside of your chest. This tiny little muscle, mighty, mighty muscle. And each time you breathe and your chest moves slightly with each inhale and with each exhale, imagine that breath very gently squeezing, massaging your heart. And if you'd like to transition by taking the block, bolster, or blanket out from underneath you, feel free to roll all the way flat onto your back for the last few minutes of rest. Give yourself that permission to rest. As you inhale, feel your chest expand, your heart's energy expand. And as you exhale, feel the light and wisdom of your heart just surround you. When you're ready, roll off to one side. Take a moment there. If you're just rolling off the blanket, curl up. And when you're ready, press yourself up into a comfortable seat. Take a moment here to notice what it feels like to be you right now. Areas of your body that might feel warm. Areas of your body that might feel a little worked. And then take your right hand over your chest and your left hand over that. Let the warmth of your hands penetrate your heart all the way through to the back of your heart. My hope is that tonight's Leo yoga practice helps you feel a little bit more courageous and confident as you move into your week ahead. And I thank you so much for joining me.